Hello, chaps, and welcome. This is Pink Dave, and welcome to a very special video I've been working on for quite some time now. What is that video, you may be asking? A Greek mythology video. Now, if you don't know me, you should know that I really, really like Greek mythology. I mean, a lot. So, it's only natural that I would want to make videos of it. In fact, that's the original reason I created this channel, is I wanted to make Greek mythology videos. But what to begin on? Well, how about the beginning? In the beginning, there was only chaos, an empty void. Actually, no, we're not starting there. Instead, we're going to start on one of my favorite Greek gods, Hades, Lord of the Underworld. Now, there's a lot of common misconceptions about Hades that in this video, I want to kind of disprove. And those are enhanced by these movies and cultural references. A lot of people start thinking that Hades is either a god of fire and damnation or whatever, or that he just flat out is evil. That is actually all wrong. Hades is not really evil. In fact, he's one of the least evil guys in the entire Greek mythos. Now you may be wondering, like, how can that be, or where did this myth start? Well, in reality, it's because we live in a Christian-dominated culture, and Christians like to think of Satan and Hades as pretty much the exact same person, and that's not how it goes. So what is he really like? Well, in Clash of the Titans, they actually did a decent interpretation of him. They even gave him a bident, which is that thing right there. However, one of the problems I have with that is that he's still a villain in that movie, and, you know, moving on. The big question is Hades the god of death? The answer is actually no. He's Lord of the Underworld, but he's not the god of death. That actually goes to a guy called Thanatos, who's pretty much the Grim Reaper. The, the The thing is, Zeus, Poseidon, and Hades were three brothers who decided to split the kingdom in three ways after they finished killing the Titans. In fact, for that reason, Hades is one of the first heroes because he helped his two brothers defeat the Titans in the first place. And so, yeah, they basically drew sticks to see who got what. Zeus got Mount Olympus and the sky, Poseidon got the water, and Hades basically got the underworld. He kinda got the short end of the stick. Also, look at that face. He does not look amused. Now, I think before we start talking about Hades, we need to talk about the underworld. I'm probably going to slaughter some of these names, by the way, but the underworld where you enter and where is called Tanarium, or Tanarum. Yeah, whatever. This is kind of the place where all the souls enter after they die. This is also the place where Hermes takes them when they die, because, well, he's kind of the guy who delivers them there, but we'll get to that in another video. But blocking their ways to the gates of Hades is Acheron, the River of Woe. To get across, they must pay Charon the ferryman. This is why, back in the day, they would put gold coins under their tongues so that their souls could pay Charon and they could get across to the river. It's actually interesting to note that there are actually 5 rivers in Hades, or in the underworld. Those are Cococtus, the River of Lamentations, Phlegethon, the River of Fire, Lethe, the river of forgetfulness, which actually bleeds into an overworld place, and pretty much the lotus flowers that you see in the movies grow from it. There's also a goddess named Lethe, which it's named after, who's the goddess of forgetfulness, basically. And then there's the river Styx, the river of hate and unbreakable oaths. This is the most commonly known river. There's actually a goddess called Styx. But basically any person or thing, usually a god, who swears on the river Styx, basically they cannot break that promise. It's also the name of one of my favorite bands. They probably got the name, well, they did get the name from the river. But then you tie in things like Achilles into this, and yeah. Now, the gate of Hades is actually encrusted with diamonds, something I actually did not know. So it's basically a giant diamond gate, and it is guarded by the three-headed dog called Cerberus. Pretty much Cerberus will kill any mortal who tries to pass. If they aren't dead, they will be shortly. However, there are a few heroes that end up getting past Cerberus anyway. After that, there are three gods, Minos, Arceus, and Rhadamanthus, who are the three judges of the underworld. They basically look at your life and judge you off of what you've done and decide where you will go after that. And they fall into categories. These categories is where they will send you. Elysium. This is basically paradise. Yeah, this is part of the underworld. This isn't a separate place. This is part of the underworld. Elysium is basically paradise. However, and Elysium is basically for the people who have done lots of good deeds. A lot of heroes go to Elysium. However, there's also this thing that if they choose to be reborn, and they get to Elysium 3 times, they go to the Isles of the Blessed, which is a part of Elysium. Not much is known about it other than it's like beyond paradise or something like that. Then there is the fields of asphodel, which are pretty much just for the people who were regular folks who didn't do anything significantly good or bad. Then there's the fields of punishment. Yeah, this is where we start to get into people who were pretty freaking bad, and they basically get punished for all eternity. You may think that this is probably what people think of when they think of hell, but more likely, well, yes, this would be part of it, but then there's Tartarus. Tartarus is for like the most evil people, and usually for people who did things to the gods. They are eternally punished and given the worst of all. Like, the fields of punishment may be bad, but they're nothing compared to Tartarus. I'll talk about these guys in the image right here in a later video. But yeah, Tartarus is pretty much hell. Now the big question is, does Hades act or is like Satan? The answer is still no. And no better story really puts that together than Hades and Persephone. Now, here's the thing. When people think of Hades and they know about the tale of Hades and Persephone, they start thinking of him as evil. However, that's kind of a common misconception because this is pretty much the only evil thing he's ever done. And I'm not saying Hades is a saint. I mean, he still is a bit greedy, but seriously. Compared to some of the other gods, this story ain't that bad. So it all begins when Demeter, the goddess of the harvest, has a daughter with Zeus. That daughter is Persephone. Persephone is like the goddess of flowers. And one day Hades is all alone in the underworld being miserable, and he looks up and like he can see through the earth or something, and he sees Persephone and he's just like, hey, I want that. She is beautiful. I want that. And so he gets his 4 black horses in his chariot, and he rides up to the surface and grabs her and drags her into the underworld. Now, naturally, Demeter is upset because all of a sudden her daughter went missing. She starts searching the entire earth for her, and nobody knows where she is. Because of her distress, the world starts to die a bit. She is helped by Hecate, which who is one of the Titans. She helps light torches in order to help her during the long nights to help her find her daughter. In fact, Hecate, Demeter, and Persephone have a very good relationship after this. Meanwhile, in the underworld, Persephone and Hades, basically, Hades was trying to please Persephone by showing her all sorts of gemstones in the earth and stuff. After all, he is the god of riches, too. And she wasn't very pleased. He ends up tricking her, or sometimes she just forgets, and eats some of the food of the dead, mainly some seeds of a pomegranate. Eventually, one way or another, they find out where she is, and daughter and mother get reunited. However, one of the major problems is because Persephone ate the food of the dead, she technically belongs in the underworld. This starts this big conflict where the world is dying because Demeter's so angry, and finally they come to an adjustment. This is actually the story of the seasons. The story goes that for half of the year, or 6 months, she gets to stay with Persephone gets to stay with Demeter in Olympus and on the surface. But during the other half of the year, she has to be with Hades as queen of the underworld. For this reason, Demeter gets sad when she goes and gets all depressed, and fall and winter happen, and then when she comes back up, spring and summer happens. But that leaves one big question. Besides this, did Hades really do anything that evil? Actually, not really. And we can see that Hades actually helped out a lot of heroes. Like, let's see. He helped out Hercules, or Heracles, if you want to be technical about it. One of Heracles' um, labors that he had to do is he had to bring the king Cerberus. Guess what Hades did? He let him take it. Actually, that's only half true, because I've read multiple interpretations of that story, and some say he was bitter at letting Cerberus be taken, but I think most interpretations let him take it. He also helped out Orpheus. Orpheus lost his girlfriend, and he played a song so sad that it moved Hades, and Hades told him that he could basically take his girlfriend back to the surface, but he had to leave the underworld, as long as he didn't look back. And he looked back, but and bad things happened, but hey, Hades was helping him. And then there was Perseus. Back when Perseus had to fight Medusa, he needed some help, and Hades ended up lending him his Helm of Darkness, or uh, in order for him to help him sneak into Medusa's lair. Now, there are some people like Pirithous who actually got on Hades' bad side and got punished forever. Yeah, men with yourself, don't try to get don't try to seduce Persephone. It doesn't work out very well. But here's my final thoughts. Most of why people think if Hades is evil is because of what they've seen in movies. In fact, one of the funniest things is Hades is one of the most reasonable gods. He's just very businesslike. He's very serious about his work, and he kind of has a downer personality, really. In fact, you could say that maybe it was just because he was so lonely that he stole Persephone in the first place. He and Persephone don't even have any children, so I don't think he forced himself on her. Either that or he's sterile. I actually have no idea. Some myths do say he is. But one of the things is I don't ever hear of any stories of him cheating on Persephone, meaning he is devotedly loyal to her. That's sort of really funny that one of the most, that the god of the underworld would be the most loyal to his wife. Unlike the god of Olympus, who is constantly fooling around with mortals. But we'll get to that in another video. Anyway, I'd like to hear what you guys think. Did you learn something new? Uh, and what do you think? Do you think I made some good points, or would you like to see any more videos like this? If so, leave a comment below. Also, like the video if you liked it, and subscribe if you want to see more content that I make. Anyway, with that, I guess I will see you guys later.